I used to think I was really intuitive. Like I would get a feeling about a situation, a person, a decision, or even a text message. But then later on I would say, ooh, something feels off, or I just have a bad feeling about this. And sometimes I was right, but other times I was wrong. I was completely wrong. And I wasn't just wrong, I was reacting to something that wasn't even real. And it took a while to realize that I wasn't listening to my intuition. Sometimes I was listening to anxiety and calling it intuition. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Andrea and this is Moonstone Tarot. And today I wanted to talk about intuition versus anxiety. I wanted to do a different kind of video other than the typical pick a card reading that I always talk about. And maybe even someday I'll do this video even more in depth if that's what you want to hear about. But I feel there's a moment that I think a lot of us have had, or maybe even still have. You know, you're staring at your phone, someone hasn't responded, and you're waiting and waiting. And then suddenly your mind starts to spiral. It starts to fill in the blanks, you know, like they're pulling away, or I said something wrong. This is about to end. Like, what am I going to do? And in that moment, it can feel very real. That's anxiety. And your body feels like it's reacting to something that's already happened, like it's a foregone conclusion. But anxiety doesn't feel like anxiety. You know, it feels like you're picking up on something. It feels like you're noticing something that other people can't see. And that's where things get tricky, because anxiety is very convincing. It doesn't feel like panic. Anxiety feels like awareness. Sometimes it can feel like a heightened state of awareness. And it's not just about feeling nervous. It can show up in your body, in your thoughts, in your behavior, and it often feels different from person to person. You know, you might constantly worry. You might question, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if things don't turn out the way that I want them to turn out? You may have trouble concentrating. You could experience fast heartbeat, sweating, shaky hands, upset stomach, feeling restless or on edge. And anxiety is basically your body's alert system going off when there's no real danger or really nothing to worry about. And it's trying to protect you. It's just that sometimes it can overreact. So the difference between intuition and anxiety didn't become clear to me all at once. There wasn't one major aha moment that changed my life. It showed up in patterns, which is oftentimes the case. And, you know, I started noticing these feelings that would linger while others would spiral fast. And those spiraling ones sounded a lot like, you know, what if this goes wrong? What if I mess this up? What if they don't care? And those thoughts didn't just appear, they would multiply, okay? They needed answers, they needed reassurance, they needed me to do something immediately. But the quieter feelings, they would just sit there. You know, they didn't chase me like the other thoughts and feelings did. And those feelings and thoughts sounded simple, like really simple, maybe all too simple. They would just like go or wait or this isn't right. And there was no explanation, no panic involved. There was no sense of urgency. And that's when it hit me that the loud voice in my head wasn't the most truthful or reliable one. The real shift happened when I stopped reacting immediately. Not forever, just long enough to watch the feeling instead of giving into it all the time. Anxiety doesn't like that. Anxiety wants movement, it wants decisions, it wants relief. But when I did give it that pause, I started to notice that those intense feelings started to fade. And the ones that didn't stayed the same. They didn't get louder. They didn't try harder to convince me. They were just there. And that's when it all clicked for me that if a feeling disappears when you do give it space, it probably isn't intuition. Let's talk for a minute about intuition. Intuition can be hard to explain, but I'm going to try. Intuition is your mind's quick, automatic sense of knowing without consciously needing to think it through. Okay, so it's built on past experiences, it's built on pattern recognition and subtle cues that your brain processes in the background. It can feel like a quiet gut feeling or an inner nudge. And it's a sense that something is right or something is really off without having absolute clear proof of it. It can be sudden clarity or, like I said, just a simple calm knowing. And you can think of intuition as a quiet signal as opposed to anxiety, which is that loud, noisy alarm going off. You know, both can influence decisions, but they can feel very, very different in the body and the mind. And that changed everything for me, but in small ways at first, because I stopped overreacting to messages that I would get. I didn't always and automatically jump to the worst case scenarios, especially if I was by myself. And I stopped talking myself out of opportunities that I really wanted to take, but I didn't because of fear. And that was a huge thing for me. And, you know, it's okay because you can feel afraid and still know something is right for you. You can feel calm and still be avoiding something important. So it stopped being about, you know, does this feel good or bad? And started to become more about, is this the loud thought or the quiet one? So personally, I don't feel anxiety ever fully goes away, but I do feel that you can stop allowing it speak for your intuition because they're not the same voice. One is trying to protect you from things that might happen, while the other is guiding you through what actually is happening. And, you know, the more you learn the difference, the less you'll feel like you're guessing your way through life. And not every strong feeling is a sign. Some signs are just noise. If this is something that you struggle with, I'd actually love to hear from you and your experience in the comments below. You can share as little or as much as you like. I feel this is a topic that's way more common than people talk about. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. And again, comment down below, let me know what you resonated with. I read every single comment that comes in. I love interacting with you. I love this channel and what we're doing, and I thank you all so much. Whether you just joined me now for the first time or whether you've been a subscriber for the long haul. And as usual, take care of yourself, take care of others, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.